They started bringing vehicles back. I worked at Mates, and they brought in one tanks, and I pulled the packs and washed them out. I got sick. I got real sick. I got so sick that I'm in the ICU ward. My white cell count was down to 0, and they were trying to see what could be wrong with me. At that point, I knew I had one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel. He comes in and says, I talked to a colleague of mine in the military. He goes, before we do a bone marrow, if you want to try it, it's 3 injections around your belly button 3 times a day. But lo and behold, white cell blood count starts going up. I said, did that doctor tell you what it was? He goes, no. I said, okay, so I got something biological.
Where had that vehicle been?
All I know is Iraq somewhere. My name is David Garza. I'm originally from South Texas. I got in the military about 1980. Went to basic at Knox.
Oh, back up just a little bit. Did you grow up with, was your parents or anybody in the military?
No. It was my older brother. He joined the military a couple of years before I did. My parents, no. My grandparents, no. Nobody else had been in the military.
What made you decide to join?
Well, back then, I always thought that whenever I want a family, and I wanted them to have the same choices I had. You know, they can do what they want, be whatever religion they wanted, and they can go where they want, work what they want, do whatever it was. You know, just the idea of freedom of getting to do it, you know. Yeah, I was raised in a town that was, they kept up with the old ways. If you're white, you're all right. You're brown, stick around. If you're black, stay way back, you know. But most towns in Texas are like that, and a lot of people just don't want to realize it and see it.
Yeah.
Same people I graduated with in high school, I could meet them down the street today, and they wouldn't even acknowledge me. Even after we first graduated, people used to talk to me in the hallways. Nah, didn't even look my way. So it does never bothered me because I'm always here for myself.
Yeah.
You know, everything I wanted out of life, I had to get it on my own. Nothing was given to me. And I knew when I joined the military that I could one day write a check for my life, and, you know, but that's what I wanted.
It represented opportunity.
Yeah, it was an opportunity. And
How old were you when you joined?
I just right out of high school, 18.
And you remember going into the office to sign up?
Yep.
What was that like?
It was different, you know, just like anything else. You go to a new office, you don't know what to expect, who you're going to talk to until you start talking and seeing which way you want to go with anything, you know.
What did they tell you?
Well, what kind of job title did I want? Whether it was going to be infantry, mechanic, doctor, nurse, whatever field I wanted to go into.
What did you tell them?
Well, I told them probably mechanic, and they says, well, we really can't say anything until we get your test scores done and see where you come back qualified as. And when I took my test, I qualified good for a mechanic, and I've been doing mechanic all my life anyway, so I just fell right into it.
So back up a little bit. Growing up, you were working on cars and stuff?
Yes. Growing up, my dad had a service station, and he would do small, minor jobs, water pumps, stuff like that, and I would help him, and he'd do jobs at the house, and I would help him. Even when I was in school, right after I got off of school, go home, change my work clothes, help, do what needed to be done, get done, go supper, take a bath, and do my school things that I needed, and get ready for the next day.
Did you have your car you fixed up in high school?
Yes, I had a car I fixed up in high school.
What was it?
Mine was a 1970 Chevy Nova.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And I really put the time and effort into it. But of course, you know, back those days, people wanted to, what was the main thing you did with a car? Soup it up so you can race.
Is that what you did?
Yeah. You know, just like everybody else in a small town, you know. Which it was fun. You got to meet, you go to a different town, and whether they're your rivals in football or not, and you talk to some guys and say, hey, let's go race the quarter over here. Let's go over here and race, you know. You just go do it for fun, you know.
Yeah.
Some did it for money, beer. Some people just did it for fun, and I did it for all three.
Did you win a lot of races?
I've won some and I lost some. So it was come and go. It just depends on what was the latest trend that day and that year, that people that had the sufficient funds to drop the big bucks into it, well, they had the advantage.
Yeah.
You just had to get better driving skills.
Okay, so you signed up. How soon after you signed up were you in boot camp?
I signed up in May after graduation. Well, before graduation, before the first start of May. Graduated the 29th of May. And by September, I was in basic.
And tell me about that.
Basic, just like you see on some of these shows, where you go in and they start yelling at you like Recept Station, which a good example was on the movie Stripes, how they got you off the bus and said very vocalized things to you to get off and everything. And if you got medication, throw it in this deal. If you got any pocket knives, throw it over here. Any contraband, throw it over here. Because if you got caught with it, back then, you paid the circumstances to it. So it's not like nowadays everybody would, you got kid gloves on. No, back then, if they said they were going to beat your butt, you guess what they did. And there ain't much you can do about it, but take it.
And tell me where you went to boot camp.
I went to boot camp in Fort Knox, Kentucky.
And you said in September?
Yes.
So was it still hot?
Yeah, you could say it was kind of hot. Fall time over there, basically, and it wasn't super hot. Not like down here in Texas, and no heat like down here in Texas, unless you go across the pond. But for me, it was nice.
Yeah.
Other people said it was hot, but no, for me, it was nice. It was a vacation from Texas weather.
Do you have any experiences that stood out at boot camp?
Well, I got quite a few experiences that were real nice at boot camp, and some that weren't so nice. Let's give you one. The first night I had CQ guard.
What's that CQ?
It's where you pull guard duty with a DI sergeant, and you're basically the runner. Go check this. Go check the locks.
Okay.
Go check all the windows. You're basically the gopher.
Yeah.
And you go to floor and make sure they have their guards on fire watch, that they're not asleep or anything, and go back down. He says you're good. Everybody's good. And then they find out if you know how to make coffee or not. And if you know how to make coffee, you're in trouble already, because you just volunteered. You don't know it yet, but you volunteered. One night we had a real bad thunderstorm come through, and it kept setting off a alarm in the armory. So my DI, he was on guard duty, and he said, here you go. Here's a nightstick. Here's your flashlight. Go check it out. Let me know if anything's there. Went down there and reset it and got back up. Another flash of lightning and thunder, and set it off again. Went back down, done it again, and that was repeated until the storm passed by. We had good times. Some of the better times were if you got to go through the barracks, the bay, or the rooms, and if somebody's boots weren't shiny enough, you better throw them in the trash can and do what they got to be done with them. Because if you took one of your buddies and if the boots weren't shiny enough, yours got thrown in there no matter what. So, and you told your guys, look, ain't nothing against you, it's just I'm not getting my boots thrown in there. If they were questionable, you use your own judgment. You made friends and you got some people upset at you. After you filled up the trash can, took it to the showers, filled it up with hot water, some borax, and they sat there all day long until the evening, and the DI would tell them, if you're missing a pair of boots, they're probably in the trash can, you need to go get them.
How often did that happen?
Oh, yeah, that was religiously every day. You'd go, whoever was on a fire watch or guard duty would have to go look. It's like, those are questionable, I'm going to throw them in there, And sometimes your boots could be shiny enough, and somebody that didn't like you, your boots would get thrown in there anyway. So we were pranksters like anybody else. Had one guy, he kept on picking on everybody, so I fixed his wagon. While he was in the shower, I pulled the sheets back on his bunk and used this menthol shaving cream, filled it all underneath, folded his bed back, and then when he jumped in it, he goes, oh man, because that's all he slept with that night was menthol. And if anybody knows anything about menthol shaving cream, it gets warm. So he had to completely strip his bed, wipe his bed with a towel, and go wash himself again, and just lay with, put the sheets to the side till in the morning.
Did you get along with your, what did you make of your drill sergeant?
My drill sergeant, Sergeant Shepard, I can tell you exactly, 5'2", 117 pounds, maybe 118 soaking wet. He had what we call the Tower of Power. He was Airborne Ranger, Pathfinder. He had all the little patches on his side. He didn't have a power complex like a Napoleon, but when he said something, you learned his word was his bond, put it that way.
Sounds like you had respect for this guy.
Oh, I had tons of respect for him because seeing all the Tower of Power, the way he treated people, he didn't think he was any better than anybody else. But he'd let you know that I am the boss. You are the students. You will do what I say when I say, or the way basically I raise my kids. You got two choices. You can do it, or you can get punished and do it anyway. So which one would you rather do? You know, and everybody goes, well, your kids never had a choice. Yes, they did. They had a choice. Do it when I asked them to. And if I spoke more than twice, the third time was in Spanish, my kids knew they were in trouble then. The wife even to look at the kids says, you better run. Your dad's talking Spanish. That's it, run. So just do what he tells you, and you're good. And that's the way I figure everybody needs to, because all we have in life really is our word. You know, if you don't have your word, what good are you?
Yeah.
To me, you're nothing. You're worse than an earthworm. You know.
So, did you enjoy boot camp?
Oh, I enjoyed boot camp. Had plenty more fun there, and got in trouble for it. But you know, I guess the best night we were bivouacking, and I heard the DIs in the tent, and they had a box full of smoke grenades and a box full of CS grenades. And they were talking about at nighttime they're going to go get the CS grenades and throw them. Well, being a smart keister the way I was, I snuck out on the back side of the tent and switched them from box to box. So what they thought they were throwing smoke for themselves, it was CS. What they thought they were throwing CS for us, it was smoke. And I do remember hearing in the background, Garza, where are you? Because they had a good inclination who it was. They couldn't prove it, but they had a good idea who it was. So, yeah, that was one of the other good times. And back in the day, that's when on Knox, you had agony, misery, and heartbreak, and which, like I said, till recently, a few years back, they done away with misery and heartbreak. And agony, they still kept it that you would do, but the other two they took away to soften up the Army. And yes, the DI did say you will write a letter home. If not, you will use the phone once a week at least to call home to let you know that you're still alive, you're doing good, whatever you want to tell them. He goes, I'm not going to tell you sugarcoat or anything. You can tell them exactly what you're going through. He goes, it don't bother me. Just like in Reset, when we first got there, they used to have what they called a pogey truck. One of the trucks that come in with all the snacks and goodies and sodas and everything, sandwiches. Well, one day we had a little disagreement with the barracks next to ours, and they were trying to get us in trouble. And well, I didn't decide to get them in trouble. I got them worse. We had what they call the Kentucky kitty cat over there. Basically, in English, a skunk. I made sure I got a bag of popcorn off the truck, and when it was my time on fire guard, I went outside and made a little trail, put a little puddle popcorn between my feet. Skunk come up there eating it, started rubbing his belly. He went to sleep. I picked him up real nice, walked over to the beggars next door and opened the screen door and threw the skunk in. And I went back to the other side. So when the yelling started, I come around the corner acting like, what's wrong? There's a skunk in here, just like the cartoon. You see people flying out of the front door and some trying to get out the back door, and there was a couple decided to take out the screen at the window, so they did that. But I was always a character. I like to enjoy life, whether regardless, whatever it is. And if it's boring, you get bored.
Yeah.
You make it enjoyable, makes the time pass by quicker. Some you make friends, some you don't make friends. But in the world, nobody's everywhere. Everybody's going to like you.
Yeah.
They're going to dislike you for some reason. The way you part your hair, you're brown, you're black, whatever, you're too chunky, whatever. You're never going to please everybody. And a lot of people don't understand. Don't please nobody. Please yourself and you'll be better off. But, that's just life, the way people are brought up, like myself, small country town. And you get all these people and that are from big cities and other states. And what's the worst thing? The first thing they ask you in Texas, you still ride horses? Yeah. Did y'all ride them down? Some people still ride them down. Really? And it's like... And then you get the real gullible ones that says, yeah, the white cows, you get white milk. The brown cows, you get chocolate milk. And back in the 80s, they still believe that. And it's like, do y'all carry guns everywhere? I said, no, we got them in our vehicles, but not like the old Western days. But everybody's still, we're not changing for nobody.
Okay, where'd you go after boot camp?
After boot camp, I stayed in Knox for my MOS and for my specialty, which is a turret mechanic, 45 November.
Okay.
And that was down in Cherry Hall. And did my time there.
How long was that training?
8 weeks, 12 weeks, 12 weeks.
So explain to me a little bit, is that just generic turrets or is that for a particular vehicle?
For the M60 tank.
Okay.
And then I had to go to another school when we got the M1s to learn more about the M1s and how to work on them. And
how was that? Was it training? Did you enjoy that?
Oh, I had fun with it. Of course, me being the character, the instructors would have parts that they would have in their toolbox. And they would go put a bad part on your tank, and you had to follow the procedures and go down and see what was wrong, and then you go tell them what was wrong.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes if they walked away and stayed gone too long, a different part might be missing out of their box and switch them out for one that's working, for not working, and the one that was bad that they were rating you on was good all of a sudden. And until they caught me, I used to get away with that, which was fun. I said, at least you are learning. He goes, you know what part was wrong and you switched it out. He goes, I don't like the way you did it. All you had to do was tell us, but you switched it out and then you got us and, oh, this is not working. Then we had to go in there to make sure that you weren't lying to us. And then we realized, yeah, he's pulling a fast one on us. But, that's like anywhere else. Like I said, it was just what you made of it.
Yeah. So how long were you there then, working on that?
Like I said, it was 12 weeks there at that course.
Okay.
And then you went to your MOS station, your first station, wherever you're going to be, Fort Hood.
Is that where you came?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you first started out, a lot of people don't understand when you go to your first duty station like Fort Hood, you go into a unit and you're a new guy and everybody's like, looking down on the new guy. You don't know nothing or anything like that. You don't have no experience and you just got to prove yourself to them. And, it's in any job you do, you're going to have people accept you and people that don't, and people that are going to doubt you until you prove it. And back then in life, you had to prove what you were going to do. If not, you weren't doing them any good.
Yeah.
Stayed there for a little bit, then I got in the National Guard. Got out of the Army, went in the National Guard, and a unit that was back down home, my brother was in, and stayed in the National Guard, worked in the oil field in my civilian life, and come up to beautiful Fort Hood for our annual training and different areas for our weekend training, whether Shelby, Swift, and Austin.
What did the trainings consist of?
Just depends. Most of our training, since it was an armor unit, we had tanks.
Yeah.
And the tank crews would do their job, and if they run into a mechanical problem, you had to go investigate, get the tank up, just like in real life, so the tank crew would keep doing their job. And back then, when you signed off on a piece of equipment saying it worked, I was raised, I have 4 people in my hands, they're alive. If I say that tank is good and they go out into battle somewheres or go in somewheres and they get killed, it's on me.
Yeah.
Besides looking at the paperwork, who fixed it, who said what, and if they're able to find out why they got killed, somebody's head's going to roll.
Yeah.
And to me back then like I said, your word is your bond. And just before I got it in 2002, I had a lot of people that they were there just passing time. I'm just in it for college money, or I'm just here to be here, and didn't have any couth or morals about themselves, no inclination what they really wanted to do out of life.
Yeah. And
that's the thing that gets me is, everybody talks about all these young people have nothing to do. Well, that's right. It's like, to me, it's their parents' fault. You don't challenge your kids, what are they going to do? Kids now, time out. No. Get the belt, apply it to the bottom area, get their attention. And it's like I say, if you want a friend, get you a dog or a kitten. Until you grow up, you're going to learn to hate me, or you're going to do what you're supposed to, one of the two,
Okay, go back. The tank was, which one? The original one was what?
M60 tank.
Yeah, what was that one like? Describe that.
M60 tank was about 62 tons, loaded down with ammo and everything. If it was a fully loaded ammo and all their equipment, mechanical equipment, track equipment to repair tracks and everything, all the tools they needed for operator level maintenance.
Yeah.
And then, the main gun, the gunner helped take care of the main gun, make sure its operation was correct. The driver, it was fairly a mesh saddle seat, which sometimes became uncomfortable, if they didn't have a pad on it. But it had a 105 gun tube on it. And
was it pretty reliable?
Oh, it was very reliable.
Easy to work on?
Easy to work on. It's easy if you know your job. If you don't know and don't have any idea, you're going to have problems. Everybody says the maintenance field is hard. I tell everybody, no, it's not. Maintenance field is not hard. I said any vehicle, whether it's the turret, the whole thing, the hull and the turret, that was 2 different pieces considered. To me, if you had no inclination on your basic mechanics, you were going to have problems. And that's the way I looked at it. Is if you don't have any idea how it works, you're going to have trouble. And it's like when I used to teach mechanics. I treat every vehicle like a pie. Everybody goes, a pie. I said, yeah. I said, you seen them at a pie eating contest, right? He goes, yeah, where they all got all over their face and everything, and really don't get anything done here? He goes, yeah. I said, that's like some people that do mechanic work. I said, but normal people that eat a pie, cut it up in sections, right? I said, yeah. Okay, all your lights, that's one section. Your electrical for your main gun and your controls, that's another section. Your hydraulics for the main gun, that's another section of pie. I said, you got to break it down And no, I says, if I took you to another tank just to start it up, from one tank to another, could you do it? He goes, well, no, it's different. I said, no, it's not different. How to start it, whether you push a button or turn a switch, that's the only thing different. Every vehicle's going to have batteries. It's going to have to starter button or a switch. It's going to have a neutral safety switch for the transmission. You're going to have a starter. After it gets running, it's got to have an alternator or generator to charge it up. I said, they're all the same. Just the locations are different. And when you break it down to some people, make it that easy. That is what we used to call the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Because like I tell people, everybody's on a different level of education. If I can't teach you this one way, I'll back up, regroup, and try something different to get you going where you need to be caught up with. And when I was an instructor at Red River for the MRAPs, a lot of young people, they were in there just to be told what to do.
Yeah.
If they weren't told, it wasn't going to happen. And it's like I tell them, you got to use that strongest muscle you have, and that's between your ears. You got to engage it. You just can't say, I'm just going to be here until they tell me to do something. No, it don't work that way. You got to apply yourself. There are certain jobs in the military, you can get away with that, you know. And there's times that you got to take it upon yourself. If you want to get high in rank, you want to do a good job, you got to apply yourself. And that's like anything in life. You got to apply yourself. You want to make a better life for yourself. And it's just to get through people nowadays. It's like, well, I'm not going to do it. They didn't tell me to do it. I said, well, you know, that's wrong, because everybody goes, why is it wrong? I said, well, you know, let's make it simple. Since I use the KISS method, we're going to go with that. I said, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Okay, you are taught to go to the bathroom, right? Yeah. What do you do after you finish the bathroom? You wipe. Do they got to tell you to do that? No. Okay. Just like anything in life. They shouldn't have to tell you to do it. It should be automatic. I said, and that's where I see people every day that if you don't tell them how to do it, draw them a picture, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You tell them empty out the trash, that's what they're going to do. Are they going to put a bag back? Nope. Why? Because you did not tell them. And I think it's funny because everybody says life is hard. No, it's not hard. Life is not hard. We make it hard. Whether we're using a computer, a cell phone, any kind of recording equipment, you got to apply yourself. Because if you don't, how are you going to research? When I was teaching young men and women being mechanics, I says, you know, y'all are at the best age there is. I said, think about it. You got all your knowledge at the fingertips. At your fingertips, all the knowledge you ever want. I said, what was our knowledge? Go to the library, go get the encyclopedias, research what you want to research, sit down, be quiet, write down what you needed to write, check out a book, whatever. But now you got all these fancy phones, iPads, laptops, where let's go to Google, let's go to Yahoo search, whichever one you want. Put in there what you want. And some of them are so lazy now. Siri, what's the weather outside? Stick your head out the window and see. If little droplets, that means it's raining. If you get a suntan, it means the sun's out, you know. It's just, you can research everything. But I tell young people, you're so smart, you're stupid.
Yeah.
They go, why? I said, because you have it at your fingertips that you don't use it. You don't use the information. He goes, well, yeah, I got a phone. I said, yeah, but you're either playing games or you're on sites you shouldn't be doing or you're listening to music. Everything but what you need to do.
Yeah.
And they go, well, yeah, you're right. I said, I know I'm right.
So, okay, go back. So you're doing the reserves?
Yes. National Reserve.
And how did that go?
Oh,
how often were you doing that? Once, twice a year you were doing?
We were going to go, we have our monthly drills, which is a weekend.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 weeks in the summer for annual training, whether here or when we got the M60A3s, I had to go to Boise, Idaho, which they had a M60A3 course. And that's where I spent 2 weeks doing that. And doing the same thing to instructors there that I did in basic training, switch out parts and just to see the look on their faces. And
so you worked on M1s,
M60s, M60A3s, AVLB, which is a short construction with the A-frame and everything where they could lift and the dozer in front.
Yeah.
And it has a small barrel on it for that.
MRAPs?
MRAPs, mine resistant ambush protected vehicle. Taught all different types of that, driving and operations of it. Taught quite a few students, even the ones that were going overseas. Try to give them as much knowledge as they could have that would benefit them.
Yeah.
To keep them going, keep surviving.
Yeah.
I worked on Bradleys, the M2 Bradley.
What did you make of that, the newer tanks versus the old ones?
Newer tanks are fine. Technology's wonderful. But when you don't rely on the old systems or how to do something, if you have a mechanical problem go bad, and you don't know how to just do the mechanic part, that's where people are not going to phase. That's like when I went to PLDC, it was a beautiful South Fort Hood here, and that's a primary leadership course.
Yeah.
And when you start going to courses like that and people don't, back in the day, people in the Army didn't like the Guard didn't like the Army, and, just different things, because it don't matter. We're always going to be bickering with Marines, Air Force, Navy. It's just something that's going to happen. But just like I tell people, well, that's all fine and dandy. We disagree with each other just like anything else, just like we're human. I said, but you pick on one, you got to pick on all of us because we're here to support each other. So, yeah.
Did you ever get called up? No.
Went to Honduras.
Oh, what happened there? What year was that?
Back in 86. Yeah, 86. We were training the Honduran Army. They have what they call the little Scorpion group wheeled vehicle, little armored wheeled vehicle, and they had a little 35 millimeter gun on it, and how to use those vehicles and fight against a full armored vehicle. That they were quick enough. You get around the back, shoot the engine compartment, kill the vehicle.
What kind of gun did they have on them?
What
did you call the vehicle they were?
The Scorpion?
Yeah.
They had a little 30 or 35 millimeter cannon on it.
Yeah.
Which is not real big, but if you shoot the tracks, you can blow up tracks. Shoot the back of the engine compartment of a tank, you can kill the engine.
Yeah.
And just teaching them the tactics that the Soviets would use when they come across, if they come through from down south where they were at, to Honduras from El Salvador. And
how long were you there?
I was there 5 weeks.
What did you think of Honduras?
I loved it, but every place I go to, I got to try the cuisine, got to talk to the people.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when I done an interview for NBC down there, they were asking us how we build our compound. We built it up from scratch, the berms, the Constantine wire, setting up guards, setting up towers. We did it all from scratch. And we just, showed them what we could do and how the Soviets would come in formations and how they would fight. And try to teach them, look, you need to do this so you can survive. Because if one of the Soviet tanks hit you, you're toast in the Scorpion.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. They had speed compared to a T-54, T-55. No. I've been in them also. And,
yeah, what was your take on a Soviet tank versus the American tanks?
We had more luxury. finer things. You know, in a 254, you walk through and you got to watch out for the torsion bars that go out to your road arms because you're walking over things all the time if you spin the turret. And that's why in a lot of movies you'll see the whole vehicle turn to get on target quicker. That would be better because it was manual control. No electrical on those. You know, we had manual and we had electric, which we can pull up on a target quicker. That's why you would always see those tanks move the whole thing
Right.
to get it closer on target.
Right.
And then all you do is fine tune it manually and then you can shoot. But those seconds mean a lot
Yeah.
in a tank battle.
Yeah.
And it's bottom line, if you got good equipment and you got people that are willing to learn that equipment and do their job, your chances of survival are real good.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you can have a good piece of equipment, but if you're not a good crew, you just decrease your chances a whole lot more.
Yeah.
But it was nice.
You test drove the tanks after you?
Oh, yes.
Was that fun?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Even though I was a turret mechanic, I work on the hull, the engine, and everything. Also, if we had track go bad, we'd have to take apart the bad track, put new track on there, move it back and forth, go ahead and level it off, tighten it up to where you need to get, because if you had it too tight, you're going to mess up with the front hub. If you had it too loose, you can throw track off completely, and then you're down for a time until you can get it back up. No matter what it was, if you had a starting problem, say you had a bad starter, you get in there, replace it. And a lot of vehicles, we learned you can do this. The book says do this, this, and this. But when you got experience and you're doing it for, let's get this thing up, we can do this, this. I will skip over here to do this, this, and this, and we still accomplish our job. And to me, back then, it was like, you know what you got to do. This is what the book says. But we can leave this out, and we know it's good, and go to this, and we're good. We can finish it just as quick, if not quicker, without these other steps in here. And then if you had any doubt, once you got it replaced, it starts, you want to go through and check everything else. You know, you want to double check it, you got time.
Right.
You double checked it. But that's like when I went to Germany with my unit, we had...
What year was that?
80... Hold on. Checking memory banks. Oh, there's a lot of cobwebs up there. No, 92.
92.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, we were in Hornsfeld and had a blast there too. And
How long were you there?
I was there a month.
Okay. More training with other people?
Yeah, we were training, and we were training with the active units there that were stationed there. And we had a contest on who could pull the engine out the quickest on a 113. This is where my experience come in from their experience. Okay, mine is do the job correctly, but do it quickly.
Yeah.
They were doing it step by the book. Well, we pulled an engine less than 45 minutes easy, and they were still pulling. But we didn't pull a couple of components that the book tells you, but you didn't have to pull them. You know, it just made it easier for some things to reach, but you get the guy that's the right size, can reach his arm in there and take the wires off the starter. Hey, more power to you.
All right.
And then the lieutenant goes, hey, y'all cheated. No, the deal was who could pull the engine out the quickest. You see, and maintenance means everything, your words on how you say it.
Yeah.
Now, that's who can pull the engine out correctly step by step. That's different. But when your terminology is
pull it out quick,
not tearing up anything, guess what? You lose on that fact. He goes, well, yeah, you got me there. I said, don't get me wrong, gentlemen, y'all are great at what y'all do. But we, being part-time military, we have to find the ways to get us into the advantage point so that everybody can understand that, okay, well, now you know you don't have to pull that piece off. Nobody else is around. Who's going to tell you, bad boy, you didn't pull that component out? It tells you to. You don't have to. It's not in your way.
Yeah.
I said, as long as your people learning how to do it correctly, safely, and not tear anything up, what does it matter?
Yeah.
That's where the experience comes in on how to do things. I said, well, you know, when going through the ranks, when you get up to E6 warrant officer, they give you a book. It's called the TM9-8000. And they give it when you got the rank already. And to me, it's wrong. To me, I want to give it to all my subordinates because it's basic knowledge of mechanics.
Why do you think they wait to give it?
They're doing it backwards.
Why, though?
Military, if it works, we don't do it. A lot of units, if it works, we're not going to do it that way. And that's what me and some of my officers had a disagreement on. And some sergeant majors and all what the book says, do it this way. I understand that, yes. Are we doing it? Yes. You know, and to me, when I was instructor on the MRAPs, I used to teach all the mechanics. And I tell them, look, this is what you need, TM9-8000. Because I had a soldier, I was at Bragg and had a PFC come up. He goes, Mr. Garza, I said, yeah. He goes, can I ask you something? I said, yeah. He goes, what's the difference between a gas engine and diesel engine? I said, okay, hold on. I said, everybody go take a smoke break. Once they come on to the vehicle, and I start talking to them. I said, why are you asking me? Why aren't you asking the mechanics here? Oh, because they think it's a stupid question. Got you. So I told the guy, I said, look, when you go home, write this down, TM9-8000. I said, look it up. Google it. Yahoo, whatever you want to look it up at. It's 1,000 pages of basic maintenance that will benefit you. I said, they don't usually give this book until you're higher up in rank, but you're the guys that need it. I said, I'd rather have somebody like you, me teaching you, because right now you're a sponge. You're wanting to learn. I said, the majority of people that could join the maintenance wanting to learn maintenance, and they don't have the experience.
Right.
Or the ability, the location, or whatever to learn it. So you got to do something. What? You wanted to go in the military so you could learn how to be a mechanic. No problem. I said, just remember, you're only as smart as your instructor. He goes, what does that mean? I said, it means if the guy didn't know that was teaching you correctly, guess who don't know how to do it correctly? He goes, that makes sense. I said, just remember, 90% of the time, you're only as smart as the guy teaching you.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You know, that's where I say you got to apply yourself. You got to learn these other things. You got to go research, look, whatever you want to call it, follow up on it. I said, I was there and one of the guys come in and I was just listening to him and he was telling me a ratchet is what picks up a big deal that lifts up the connexes of sea land containers. He was telling me it was working. It only turned part of the way. I said, I can fix it from here. He goes, there's no way you can fix it from here. He was talking to the mechanics of that shop. One of the guys goes, if Garza's telling you something, you might want to learn. You might want to listen. He goes, okay, what I got to do? I says, if I remember correctly, electronics, you're going to have 4 sensors on it, right? He goes, yeah, how'd you know that? I said, you ever work on one? I said, no, but I'm going to fix it from here. All you got to do is be in my hands part, okay? He goes, all right. He goes, we'll see. I said, don't worry. When you come back, I'm not going to tell you I told you so, okay? He goes, all right, deal. I said, you pull a sensor, get a multimeter, do an ohms check, see what the resistance is, write it down. Go to your next one, do the same thing, write it down. Go do all 4 of them. The one that's a different number, that's bad. Replace it, and you'll fix it. He was gone. He come back. He went and got a part. They went back, put it on, come back. It fixed it. I said, basic knowledge will help you in anything in life. I says, everybody's got this philosophy, knowledge is power. They're wrong. That's wrong. Applied knowledge is power. You got to apply it before it does any good. Because how many times you walk to a soldier, well, I knew that. Well, evidently you didn't, because you didn't do it.
You didn't do anything about it.
That's right. So I tell everybody, knowledge ain't power. Applied knowledge is power. When you apply it and it works, you know it works, you got all the power in the world. I said it's just the simple things in life a person can do to enrich themselves without having to ask that old philosophy, the only stupid question is one not asked. It's not the one that's not asked, it's the one that you didn't get an answer to. That's where hence comes in. You're only as good as your instructor.
Yeah.
You're only as good as, if you're raising a family, how are you going to raise that family? Just like your mom and dad raised you and your grandpa and grandma raised you, all right? So you're only going to be as good as your parents and grandparents. Unless you change.
Unless you go looking for more knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, everything you do in life, that's how life is. It's that easy.
Now, you served officially from when? When did you join?
1980 to 2002.
Oh, wow. And that's including the reserves?
Yes.
So how long were you official?
20 years, 7 months.
And how long were you straight military before you went to the reserves?
Just a year.
Oh, just a year.
Yeah. Because went into a little medical problem with the family, and I wanted to be there for them. And
yeah.
Kind of like a hardship case, and they did work with me. And since I was going to be in the Guard, they had no problem with it. They just didn't want me to get out all of it.
Yeah. So, what year did you get out?
I got it in 2000. 2000, yeah. 2000, because I was here 20 years, 7 months. So it was 2000 when I got out.
Wow. Were you sad you missed some action and all that?
I was upset that I did. I actually got out right before Desert Storm.
Yeah.
And yeah, it kind of hurt me, but then I went back in 2004 overseas with KBR Halliburton.
What did you do for them?
I drove trucks, ammo.
In Iraq?
Yes.
Tell me about that. Now, how did you actually sign up for that?
I had heard about it through a couple of friends that, they were talking about going over there, that they're taking volunteers,
Yeah.
You go apply, see your credentials, see what kind of experience you got and everything. And I got in with a bunch of guys that were truck drivers that were prior service. We had first sergeant, sergeant majors, sergeant first class that were truck drivers over there.
And you're driving diesels trucks?
Yeah, driving the Mercedes trucks they had over there.
Oh, and that was in convoys like supplies?
Yeah.
And so that was 2004?
Mm-hmm.
Were things heated up over there at that point?
Yeah, that's when it got bad in some of the areas in Iraq.
Where did you land when you went over there?
First, we landed in Dubai.
Yeah.
And then we got to the company and the company housing, and they said, okay.
Was that still in Dubai, or was that?
That was in Dubai.
Well, landed in Dubai, what was that like?
It was different, because compared to here in the States, and like I said, I've been to Germany and Honduras and everything. It's just different, the way the people are, mannerisms, and it's like I tell people, you're in America. You're not in America anymore. You're in their country.
Yeah.
You have to learn their customs. You have to pick up on what they're doing. Because we had a guy come up. He wanted to grab my stuff and put it on a cart and take it for me. I said, no, I got it. I said, no offense. I said, but I'm used to doing everything myself.
Yeah.
And he said he understood, and he went to somebody else, and they let him do it, which no problem. Because we were on a time crunch and get out there, get our ride, go to the company area, get where we were going to spend the night, and then in the morning figure out where we were going to go. Like me, I was going to be in Dubai almost a week before leaving because I had to wait for more people that were coming in. So I got to experience Dubai, go out to the shops and everything, and they learned who I was. I wheel and deal, because they get all their items straight off the port, off the ship, so they get at a discount, and I learned who would wheel and deal shop here, who would wheel and deal, and what I can get here, what I can get there. And
okay, where did you end up in Iraq?
I ended up in Camp Anaconda, and it was north of Baghdad.
By in miles, what would you say?
It was a good 50 miles.
Okay.
Easy. Well, I take that back. It was longer than that. It was about 125 miles.
Okay. And then what did the job consist of?
Depending on what part you got volunteered on what truck, you can either run a fuel truck, ice truck, parts, different things.
And they would assign it out different all the time?
No,
or did you get assigned something that you stick to?
You got a truck assigned to you, and that's what you hold.
What was your truck?
My truck was a Mercedes. My number was 121.
And what did you
flatbed.
drive? Yeah.
And anything they could put on flatbed, I hold it. From vehicles to parts, everything.
Were you nervous going over there?
Not really. You hear all the war stories and everything, and a lot of people get worried. And some of the people that never been in the military, they were worried. Like, David, what do you expect? I says, if you hear a whistling sound, you're good. That's a mortar coming in. If you hear it go chuk, 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 like a football rolling over, I said, somebody's in trouble.
Is that a missile?
That's a mortar.
Oh, okay.
And I said, as long as it whistles, you're good. When it don't whistle, that's when you start paying attention to what you're doing. I said, but your first mortar, after that, you'll never forget it. And one of the guys that was with me, he was from North Carolina. I called him Snail because we used to mess with each other all the time. And he was a big man also. And when we were in Houston, everybody goes, why'd you call him Snail? I said, oh man, we were out taking a smoke break one day out there, and there was 5 snails in a circle. I said, and 3 got away before he caught them. And they had to think about it. What? I said, yeah, 3 got away before he caught the other 2. I said, hence snail, slow, okay? He goes, you threw us off. I said, well, that's why. He goes, that's why he's my friend. He goes, because he's always joking. But he's honest with you, so we're good with that.
So what was your first mission out there?
My first mission was from Dubai. We got some trucks in Dubai and drove them into Iraq.
And how big was the convoy of your trucks?
Convoy was just about 1.5 miles long.
Wow. And you had armor in front and behind? Or you were just winging it? Is that just a pipe dream that you had?
Armor? What's that? The armor that we seen blown up on the side of the road? Is that what you're talking about, right? No, I usually had a Humvee, armored Humvee in front, one in the back, and you had a spare truck, and then you had a regular military truck with their supplies on it. And it would take us 2 days to get from one area, so from Dubai to where we were in Iraq.
Yeah.
Because the speeds, the dust, different terrain, going through areas where the school kids were. Some of those kids should have been pitchers in Little League because they were that good.
Oh, throwing stuff at you guys?
Yeah, throwing rocks. I've watched a kid throw one right through the windshield and another kid throw it right behind it to the same place.
Wow.
That's how good they were. But they were experiencing that.
So you felt like they were hostile. in a lot of places.
I wouldn't say hostile. They were just something they didn't understand, something they didn't know, something they'd never been around.
Yeah.
Where people had choices. You know, when we were there, and I used to carry a big box of MREs, and we'd take a smoke break on the side of the road, and little kids would come up, and I'd just throw them MREs. And I had one of the guys go, Dave, man, he goes, they got food to eat. I said, yeah, look at their garden. I said, I tell you what, I'll make you a deal. I said, the day you go to the chow hall and you eat potatoes for breakfast, for lunch, for supper, nothing else, just that, you'll have something to eat, right? I says, wouldn't you like to take a break and have something different to eat? They think that MRE's fantastic because it's different. I said, so you're taking everything, what you're doing doesn't make sense. You're in their country, yeah, they have something to eat. Yeah, they got goats. They got whatever, sheep. They got camels. It doesn't matter. Your food is the same thing. They all got potatoes. You don't think they get fed up eating the same thing every day? Wouldn't you like to try something different? I said, but do that for a week and then tell me you did it for a week. Then I'll quit throwing MREs out to the kids.
Any time you were driving truck, did you guys get it, like IEDs or?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about that. The first time that happened.
First time that happened, we were coming from Anaconda going to Baghdad. And
another big convoy?
Yeah. No, they were all big convoys.
Okay.
Most of the convoys were 20 trucks.
Okay.
At least.
Yeah.
Most of them. And of course, when you get all spaced out and have so much area in between and everything, yeah, you're going to be stretched out a little bit. And I was going through what the little town we called the meat market, and the only reason we called it is when they were butchered a cow or a goat, you would see it on the side of the road and them butchering it right there, and people coming getting meat and everything, and that's why we called it the meat market. I got through there and had an IED go off, but we were moving fair enough where it only took out my mirror, my window, and put a few holes inside of the truck, but nothing major, you know.
Didn't stop the truck?
Oh, no.
Didn't blow out the tire?
No.
Wow.
And I got very fortunate on that run.
And it was like a mine under the, is that what it was?
Yeah. It was a mine, but like I said, we were going
fast enough.
When it exploded, it was behind the cab and shooting shrapnel towards the truck.
Wow. And were you wearing a flak jacket when you were driving?
No. I used to go to the salvage yard and see all these old artillery pieces of equipment, and I would go pull off armor plates and put them around my chair and behind and stack them that way where I built my little armor box. And I would close the curtains just about all the way so they wouldn't see where I was exactly sitting at one position. Yeah. And just went about it that way.
After that first IED, did that scare the crap out of you or what?
It startled me more.
And you just kept on driving?
Yeah, I wasn't going to stop. I was the second to the last vehicle.
So that was, somebody probably set that off, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Somebody set it off, had to. Because they figure you get the end of the guy of the truck, get it stopped.
Then they have to.
Then the rest are going to stop. And it's like, no. And I called my command company, the convoy commander. I said, CC, this is 121. Got hit with an IED. What are you going to do? Keep going. I ain't stopping.
So it didn't hit the fuel line or anything?
No. Like I said, we got very fortunate at the speed we were traveling.
How fast were you usually going?
80.
Oh, so you were hauling.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very seldom you did not drive slow. No.
So did you get attacked any more than that?
Well, when we got hit with an IED, there was another Humvee was trying to chase some bad guys down.
On the same thing or a different time?
I think it was the same thing.
Yeah.
And he pulled out into Humvee in front of me, and I'm doing 80 miles an hour, and the gunner stands up and puts his hand down for me to halt. I said, you are stupid. Hold on. So I went towards the median, hit the Humvee, put it about 6 foot in the air. I know he was level with my trailer. He was about 5 foot, so he was level with my trailer because it ripped off my fuel cap. It was either him or the explosion ripped off my fuel cap. But yeah, it was. And then I started thinking, David, you're stupid. You're driving in the median. They could have an IED out here. It's like, time to get back. When I pulled over, that's when I put them in the air, and I didn't stop. Of course, I got in trouble later for it, for hitting a military vehicle. I said, yeah, sure, I can stop.
Did they ever come talk to you? Why did they want you to stop? Because did they see you get hit with the IED?
They knew something was going on, but they were chasing somebody.
Oh.
So I don't know if they were actually chasing the guy that set it off or what, but
yeah.
I wasn't going to stick around to find out.
Yeah.
You know, not write any autographs. I just going to keep going.
Yeah.
And we made it to Baghdad. CZ looked at it and said, look, I need some plastic at least put on the window. Oh, yeah, we'll get it. Yeah, nothing ever happened until we got back to the compound.
Yeah.
But we spent the night in Baghdad, and then we went back the next day. But, I took everything.
Would they clear the roads for you guys? Or were you guys in among the traffic as well?
Oh, no, you're among the traffic. They try to clear it.
Yeah.
But
I've heard the driving over there was insane.
Oh, it was fantastic, just like if you were driving in Killeen or Cove. Dodgeball with vehicles, bumper cars, and did it. Since I was at the end, we had the spare truck behind me, and then either the gun truck or the Humvee, armored Humvee behind us, and this one guy kept trying to go around us. And before that happened, they used to let people go by, and then they quit because the prior week before that, we had a guy get blown up in his truck with an RPG. He was a good guy, hillbilly. He was from Kentucky.
Oh, they pulled up the side of him and shot him with the RPG?
Yeah, they pulled up, and next thing the RPG sticks out and right through the back.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And we won't say what happened to his body, but we did pull what left was out by yanking the seat and everything out. So it was cooked to the seat,
How long were you over there?
I was over there like 4 months before I came back. After they started harassing me about hitting that military vehicle, I said, man, y'all guys are a joke. I'm out of here. We could set our watches every night at 8 o'clock. We're going to have 3 mortars come in, just like clockwork. And we get new guys say, man, don't even worry about going to shower right now. Why not? Don't worry about going to shower right now. Just get your stuff and get ready. Ready for what? I said, okay, you don't want to listen. I'm not going to explain everything told you hand by hand. No, that's not my job. I'm telling you, don't do it. Well, they were halfway to the shower point wrapped in a towel. They come running back. So what did you tell us? I said, don't go to the shower. It's going on 8 o'clock. He goes, so this happens every night at 8. I said, plan on it. I said, wherever you're at, get ready. Look at your watch. He goes, tick, 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 tick. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock. You got 3 mortars coming in. They
paid really well for you to do that? Or no?
No. They never got the funds that said we were going to get funds,
Oh, they promised you something and it wasn't that?
Oh, no, definitely not. And then the harassment on you can't run into military vehicles. I said, evidently, you don't know how many feet it takes to stop a big truck.
Yeah.
I said, loaded, it takes less than without a load. I said, because you got less friction. I said, but y'all don't understand anything about that. I understand y'all in it for the money. I understand KBR, kinfolks, brothers, and relatives. I understand that part. I said, I have no problem with all of that, goody two shoes. I said, but y'all got to wake up. I said, because now, when they started harassing me about hitting that vehicle and they were talking about charging me for it, deuces, baby, I'm out of here. My convoy commander, he freaked out. He goes, what are they doing? I said, dude, I'm out of here. And what was funny, April the 15th, I left there. Okay?
Yeah.
Left there to Dubai. From Dubai, caught a flight to Germany. From Germany, flight to Houston, through Houston. Got out at Houston International Airport. Guess what day it was? April the 15th. So I just stayed on one day traveling all that time. And, you know, I looked at, you know, I told some guys, if y'all stupid enough to stay, I said, go ahead. I said, I'm not staying for stupidity.
Yeah.
You know, I take enough chances with my life every day just waking up.
Yeah.
I said, why am I going to do something for people that don't appreciate it?
Yeah.
I said, my wife and family appreciates me, so guess what? I'm out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll go back in the oil field, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I don't regret going. I wish I could. I wish circumstances would have been better for drivers where I could have stayed there longer, you know, but I'm not going to endanger my life. And, you know, I don't go looking for rattlesnake just to see if it'll bite me.
Yeah.
Ain't going to happen. But when you get stupid and try to take my money, nope,
Yeah.
You know, I was doing it for the soldiers, not for the company.
Yeah.
You know, supply the things they needed.
Yeah.
But, no, can't do it.
And was that kind of the last stuff with the military at that point?
No.
Oh, what happened after that?
See, I got back from that part with the military and went back in the oil field driving trucks. And then in 2006, I got on with BAE teaching MRAPs to special forces groups.
Like the repair?
The repair and operations of it.
Okay.
And had a blast. And
was that here at Fort Hood then?
No.
Where was that at?
We were on a traveling team. We went from Fort Bragg, Campbell, Lejeune, Pendleton. We were teaching special forces, MARSOP, PJs down in Pensacola, Florida. So we were teaching all special forces groups.
Seems like that's really your thing, is to teach.
I love teaching, you know, because anything I can that'll benefit you, I'm going to try to do for you.
Yeah.
You know, because I want you to stay alive. I want you to do good. But just remember, I can only give you the tools. You're the one that's got to apply them.
Yeah.
And that's where it changed the guy's attitude towards the military, because we like the way you're teaching us. You teach us like you care. I said, yeah. I said, I care for the guys that are in the vehicle, that you're taking care of the vehicle, and I'm trying to take care of you. That's why I'm giving you all this free knowledge.
Of all the vehicles you worked on, which one was your favorite? Would you say was your favorite vehicle, or the one you respected the most of the American military?
Yeah. I got to go with my recovery vehicle, the Mike 88.
What is it?
The recovery vehicle.
Is that the thing that you grab MRAPs with?
Yeah. The wrecker.
What's it called?
M88.
M88.
Medium recovery vehicle.
It's just a monster?
It's a monster. Blade on it, A-frame on it, the pull packs, or whatever you got to do with it. I got to go with that because maintenance guy, you know. I love working on the M1 tanks, 548 ammo carriers, 113s, Bradleys. I enjoyed the 109 smokers that would put out the smoke screens. I loved all of it. It was just, if it had to do with the military, I loved it. From the construction equipment, from the maintainers, blades, backhoes, tar machines for doing tar roads. I just loved it all because it was challenging. It was more different than just working on one thing.
Right.
You know, you were challenged every day.
Were you the exception at knowing all those vehicles, or was that pretty common in the military?
Some in different units do different things. You know, some strictly done that, and some units, okay, you will work on wheels also.
Yeah.
If we need some help with it and whatever. You're not just going to work on the hull anymore. You're going to be on a recovery vehicle, whatever. Most of the time it was challenging for most personnel. You know, it wasn't like the driver on a Humvee. Most stuff they had was check out all the equipment to put on the vehicle for changing flats, the little stuff they needed to jump off another vehicle, checking the oil levels and stuff, like taking care of the vehicle. Radio mounts, radios. To me, maintenance was more challenging because you got your hands in the little bit. It was challenging because you could do whatever you wanted.
Right.
If you didn't have something to work on a turret, You can go help somebody out on the truck.
Is there one vehicle you thought was kind of a piece of junk?
Hmm.
And which one would that be? If you just were down on a vehicle, which one would it be?
Well, one that wasn't a piece of junk. It did what its job, but it was dangerous, and that was the Gamma Goat.
What is that? The Gamma Goat?
Yeah. It was basically one of the first ammo carriers, but it swiveled in the middle. If you didn't know your job and somebody accidentally hit the steering wheel, it was going to close on you. It was going to scissor on you. And people lost fingers in it, and some got broken arms because somebody, I'm going to scare this guy, but they never knew how it operated. I'll just go hit the horn. You just go hit the steering wheel real quick. It would close. If you pull it to the left, it would close to the left. Push it to the right, it would go to the right. And if you're in there greasing it and you didn't put the locking bar, which some people, it takes so much time to put the locking bar, go back up, get somebody to move it, jiggle it in, lock it in place. Well, that's stupidity. It's there for your safety. And, it would float, carry ammo. It was loud, but the one that I really, really didn't like was the Goer, was the wheeled ammo carrier. And it was basically a cross between a scraper and a cargo carrier. But I really didn't have no use for it. Like I said, everything else, tracks and wheels, I loved. From the quarter ton to the Humvee to the MRAPs. And everybody goes to MRAP. And, they haven't been around. Well, I said, yeah, MRAPs have been around longer than what you think.
Yeah.
They go, no, they haven't. I said, I'll prove it to you. I said, you ever watch the first Transformer? Find out what year it is. I said, there's your first MRAP, and that's the Buffalo. The one we wouldn't look at
what
Friday.
What year is that?
90 something. I'm trying to remember.
You said at the beginning of this, you had objectives for joining the military.
Right.
Did you feel like that? What's your takeaway now after your service, and did you get what you wanted out of it?
I enjoyed it and made a lot of friends, and I had a great time. Had some bad times, but I had some great times, and I really enjoyed it. Do I still miss it? Yes. Do I miss the things that changed? No. Me having to explain everything to somebody, that's not what you do. That's not growing up. If I got to explain everything to you, why do I need you for? I can do it myself.
Yeah.
I could have the enjoyment of turning wrenches myself. That's the hardest part of my head was to become an instructor. Is I was used to doing it always. And then I had to put the brakes on and says, look, this is what you need to do. Turn the wrench this way and lefty-loosey, righty-tighty.
Yeah.
And had to explain everything, break it down to him. Look, this is what you're doing. This is this.
Yeah.
And to me, I was the kind of person, well, if I want to know it, if I want to do it, I got to learn about it. I have to take it upon myself. I'm not going to wait for somebody to say, hey, how do you change a flat? Can you change a flat? You'll be surprised how many people nowadays can't change a flat.
Yeah.
That's like a big tire on a 500-pound tire in an MRAP. Everybody says, one person can't replace it. I said, wrong. I said, I can do it myself. Guy says, no, you can't. I said, put money on it. He looked at the instructor and he goes, man, just go ahead and give him your money. He goes, you're just wasting our time. He goes, can he really do it? He goes, he told you he can do it. He goes, with David, it's like this. If David tells you paint the Easter eggs, go ahead and paint it because it's Easter already. He's not going to lie to you. He goes, we'll prove it. I said, well, what are we betting? $100. $100 it is. I give my money to the other instructor and said, give him your money and we'll do it. I'll show you. Went over there, put a jack on it, jacked it up. Took everything with the hydraulic air gun, slid it off, dropped it, got the other one, put it up there, put a little bar, lifted it up, slid it in there, put everything on it, sipped it. I said, now it's yours. He goes, it was that easy. I said, yeah. And y'all act like it's killing y'all. We got one on this side, one on this side. I said, y'all ain't even working together. You're not even talking to each other. You're both trying to lift it and move it your way. I said, don't work that way. You got to do it as one if you're going to use two people. I said, but you should know that already. I says, that's the problem. You guys don't challenge yourselves. You got to challenge yourself every day. Because the day you don't learn something, you might as well be dead. You know, you got to challenge yourself. Okay, well, I'm going to wake up at 7 o'clock this morning. Okay, you know what time I get up every morning and I don't have to work? I usually get up between 5 and 7. Just to get up and get my coffee and play with my dogs, you know? And that's like things that happen is also the medical care the military gets. It really is not good. You know, they get people that are doctors, which I used to call Fort Hood Darnell, the Butcher Club, because I didn't think they were qualified to do their job. They were rejects. Yeah, they were rejects.
You still feel that way?
Yeah, even with the VA, because they're not applying themselves, because guess what? They're going to get paid. Whether I see 25 people today or I see 5, they're going to get paid that amount. That's like me when the storm kicked off and they started bringing vehicles back. I worked at Mates and they brought in 1 tanks and I pulled the packs and washed them out. I got sick. I got real sick. I got so sick that I went to King's Daughters on the weekend and thought it was a common cold, you know. And they gave me a shot. They said, you ought to start feeling better in 24 hours. 24 hours, I was feeling worse. I was feeling hammered. But when I went over there, me and the doctor, she was working again, and we got a little disagreement on our opinions. And she goes, David, you're not going to get well overnight. I said, no, I understand that part. You know, I'm not stupid. I said, but I shouldn't be feeling worse. So she goes, okay, well, look, we'll see what you're talking about. Well, next thing she knows, I'm in an ICU ward. I said, why am I in the ICU? She goes, well, your red cell count, it was at 500 yesterday. When you came in, we gave you the shot. You went home. You got back 24 hours later. You're down to 300. So I was in ICU. Then they got me into a room and went through everything. And they were trying to see what could be wrong with me. Because that was on Saturday. Sunday, they admitted me. Monday morning, they had me in my own room. And my white cell count was down to 0. So with that, I had a doctor. She come in and told me, you know, this, and this. We're going to take some more blood work. See if it's leukemia. See if it's this. See if it's that. And then the fun started. A bone marrow biopsy. Lovely, man. Just lovely. You got to try one in your lifetime, at least one. They go in and drill a bone in your hip, pull some bone marrow out. That's fun. They said, do it. It's fun. Even with morphine shots, it still hurt. She come back and says, we're bringing somebody else in. They're going to look at you and everything. I said, okay. Well, your bone marrow biopsy, blah, blah, this, that. And I said, well, what are we doing? He goes, well, we're going to call your family members in, get it from them, and see who's a match. Then we're going to take some bone marrow from them. Then we're going to send you in the room, and you're going to go through basically intense chemotherapy where you're going to wish you was dead. And after we burned all the bone marrow you got in you, we're starting to slowly putting it back in you. Well, I knew it was bad because I could be in the room and I just wasn't feeling right. And at that point, I knew I had one foot in the grave and the other one on a banana peel out here trying to get traction. So after about 3 days...
You had leukemia?
No. They don't know what it was. It gets better. So he comes in and says, I talked to a colleague of mine in the military. He goes, before we do the bone marrow, if you want to try it, it's 3 injections around your belly button 3 times a day. I said, okay, we'll try that. But lo and behold, my white cell blood count starts going up. Every day it increased with the shots. I said, did that doctor tell you what it was? He goes, no. I said, okay, so I got something biological. He goes, how you figure that? Well, see, I work on military vehicles. They were overseas in the pond at the sandbox. I said, I know these vehicles were over there. I said, so when I was cleaning them out, I got in something that nobody should have got a hold of. I said, and when you tell me a colleague of yours in the military, I said, I'm not totally stupid. I can add 2 and 2 to 4 real quick. I said, but if it's just 2 and 2, that's 22. So we can take it for 2 plus 2 or whatever you want to go. So I stayed there at the hospital a couple more days, and they said, well, everything's working, coming up and everything. We're going to get you down to the cancer section, get you introduced over there, and you're going to go in there once a week and get a shot. Okay, no problem. So I did that. But while I was in the hospital, I got so sick that...
After that, you got sick again?
No. When you were doing this,
Yeah.
I got so sick that I stunk when I sweat.
And
it don't matter what you set the temperature at on the...
You were just
I was just sweating and freezing at the same time, if that made sense. Every 2 hours...
What year was this?
98.
Wow.
98, 99. Well, no, it was 2000. 2000, yeah, before I got out.
Where had that vehicle been?
All I know is Iraq somewhere. Wherever the armor was running. Whether it ran through a field of biological, wherever, or one of the battles with the uranium round or whatever, you know. And, you know, I take it for what it's worth. And after I got home and...
How many of these shots did you take? Was that only one round? Or was that for a while?
Oh, that was for a while. At the hospital, it was 3 shots around on the stomach twice a day. Once a 3-round shot in the morning, 3-round shot in the evening.
Did you notice anything off those other than, obviously you started feeling better after that, but I mean, was there immediate effects from those?
No, it took a little bit because I was still sucking up my morphine, a cartridge every 8 hours. My morphine bill alone was $15,000.
Wow. So you don't know exactly what you got hit with?
No. And I will never know. Because it was the King's Daughters Hospital in Temple. And after I got the shots and I went down to their, however you say, the cancer center, and was getting shots once a week there. And I decided, I'm going to see what my bill is. I went to the cancer center because I had to get a shot. They said, David, you've never been here before. Never? No, you've never been here before. I said, really? I says, hold on a second. Gloria, you back there? Yeah, Dave, I'm here. Is Bill here today? Yeah, Billy's here. He's right next to me. They were getting their chemotherapy. Getting there through the IV, and I says, if I've never been here, could I have told you who's in the back? So I got real curious. So I went to the administration in the hospital to show my bill for 14 days. I said, you'd never been in here before. You weren't in here at that time. I pulled that paper. I said, well, it's got a $15,000 just morphine bill. She goes, nope, you're never here.
Wow.
All that was wiped from my records. Don't know what it was. Never will know.
That is crazy. But you've been fine since then?
Yeah.
Wow.
They told me I may have a relapse, and then I might have to have a bone marrow. They said, usually within 7 years we'll know. It's been more than 7 years, and I'm still here, so...
Wow. Was the medicine you were getting after you left the same medicine that they were shooting around your belly?
Yeah.
And you don't know what that was? They wouldn't tell you?
Nope.
It was never on any record?
No, nothing.
It's interesting that they were able to track down. It's interesting that word got out and somebody said, oh, Well, he must have gotten some of this, so we should just give him the anecdote.
Yeah.
Is that what you think that is?
Yeah, definitely. It had to be.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because who else is going to scrub records?
That is crazy.
You think a hospital's going to scrub records like that for that much of a bill?
Right.
Just morphine, 15,000?
Yeah.
You think they're going to scrap
14
days in the hospital?
No, they got written a thing said, take this and don't say anything that this ever happened.
Here's a check for this, and this never happened. I know that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I told everybody, I'm not a duck. You don't pee on my back and tell me it's raining. I know better than that. I says, I read between the lines. Everything goes. Do I regret the military? No. I'm just upset the way they done a few things, but, you know, that's anything in life.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, whether if it's a big corporation, and to me, the military is a big corporation. It just depends on who's running it.
Yeah.
And what they want to hide, they're going to hide.
Yeah.
It's just politics. It's just money for them, politics for us.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Everything's money. Everybody goes, money runs the world. No, don't. Evil runs the world through money.
Yeah.
Because you can do things in life and not have to put up with the BS that people do.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, they're taking our jobs, they're doing this, that. No. Nobody can take your job if you're good enough at your job.
Yeah.
You know, that's like when they come up with, everybody goes, pie square. They said, no, pie ain't square. Pie's a round, cobbler square. I said, you know why they come up with this process? They said, why? Because some guy thought, if I'm smart enough to figure it out this way and come up with this answer, nobody else can do it. So if I fix something, come up with something that's hard for you to do, you're not going to do it. Why? Because you're lazy to apply yourself.
Yeah.
And it's been proven through the years.
Well, Dave, thanks, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it. That was beautiful.
Oh,
thank you for sharing. That's a crazy story.
Yeah. And to me, everybody that's in the Guard and retires or reserves, you got to wait till 65 to collect your benefits. Okay, like me, I had a heart attack and I couldn't work. And I have 2 beautiful knees with no cartilage in my knees and beautiful bone spurs from jumping off and on the vehicle, because I know where the bone spurs come from, you know. But you can't get nothing for it until you're 65. You know, to me, if you have a medical issue, they should be able to help you, you know.
For sure.
You know, that's like we were talking earlier, you know, they're talking all the funds they're cutting for the VA. No, they're cutting the bad funds, people that are milking the system for nothing.
Yeah.
I said, when the money they could go for using to get a good doctor in there instead of, I'm just here going to see my 5 patients today.
Yeah.
Whether it takes me till lunchtime and get paid all day long. You know, and that's everybody goes, VA's good system. I said, the VA and for the Indians on the reservation, it's proof government medical facilities don't work.
Yeah.
I said, but everybody's too blind and want to say it's the funding here, the funding there. No.
Because they think it's free.
Yeah. It's somebody's got to pay for it.
Yeah. It gets paid for one way or the other.
So just like my dad told me, if you want to dance to the band, somebody's got to pay them.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to pay one way or the other. Whether the people that hired them off the money they're making off commissions for the drinks and going through the door, or, you know, that's got to pay everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody hates me because I make everything too simple.
You're a realist, man.
You know.
Love it.
Everybody just don't understand that.
Thanks, brother.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it.